Hello, everybody. Good morning. I hope you are enjoying this virtual session of the Global Robot Expo 2020. I've seen many interested people. I've seen as well very good booths out there. So indeed, I hope you are enjoying. Well, my name is Andrés Perelman. I work for Global Procurement. I'm the warehousing category lead in Philip Morris International. I have more than 25 years experience in supply chain and logistics. I began in the petrochemical sector in companies like Shell Oil, Dow Chemical, and Repsol. And later on, I moved to Philip Morris International in the fast-moving consumer goods sector, always in logistics and distribution. And the last 7 years in global procurement for supply chain and logistics categories. Today, I want to talk to you about the supply chain redesign that we are doing in Philip Morris to support the business transformation we are engaging. So the business transformation we are engaging is really impressive. We are moving out from conventional cigarettes towards smoke-free products. The impact of this business transformation is tremendous. We are building a high-performing supply chain enabled by digital tools and driven by data. In my last 7 years in procurement, I significantly enlarged my capabilities, like strategic view, disruptive innovation, etc. In procurement, we play a key role in supporting business transformation. And I indeed wanted to come to Global Robot Expo to explain to you what we are doing, because I found it indeed very, very interesting. So let me first explain our business transformation. Our objective is to phase out cigarettes as soon as possible. Our CEO, Andrés Calantzopoulos, has said it in the media in many occasions. But how we will do this? So though smoking incidence has been decreased in the last years, according to the World Health Organization, there is still more than 1 billion smokers in the world. In Philip Morris, we believe that adult smokers who cannot quit deserve to have better alternatives than just continue smoking. So with this focus on consumers and based on science and technology, we are developing smoke-free alternative products that significantly reduce the risk to health. We call them reduced risk products. We have invested more than $7 billion in R&D, in scientific substantiation, in production, in commercialization. Till now, more than 11 million smokers have switched to IQOS. IQOS is our flagship reduced risk product. It is based on the heating tobacco technology instead of burning. So IQOS is an electronic device that heats tobacco sticks to reach enough temperature to liberate nicotine, but without burning the tobacco. IQOS is available already in 57 markets. And our reduced risk products represents today already more than 10% of our overall volume. Our aspiration is that by 2025, more than 40 million smokers switch to PMI smoke-free products. So this business transformation impacts all our organization, from commercial to production. An example of this is the new capabilities we are building in scientific expertise. We have more than 400 scientists in the payroll. And we are following high market standards, high pharma market standards. And supply chain is also heavily impacted by this business transformation. So let's go to see how this impacts our supply chain. To launch a new product for the conventional cigarettes, only a few materials are needed. On average, we used to spend up to 4 months from the design process to the market introduction. and we used to spend up to 2 years to reach a global deployment. This was our reality in the past. Now, today, to launch a reduced risk product, the number of materials to source are multiplied by more than 10 times. From the electronic components and plastic components for the heating devices, for the different versions of the different of the device, then the accessories, and then the goods to prints, both for the devices and for the accessories. And then on top of that, the same materials that we needed before for the conventional cigarettes, we also needed for the heating tobacco units. So much more materials. We have also changed the way we launch the products. Similarly as in the electronics business, we execute simultaneous worldwide launches. So to go from what we did in the past for conventional to this new reality requires a much more holistic approach towards the supply chain. So we are transforming our supply chain into an end-to-end integrated value chain. Before going to our supply chain, I wanted to share with you so that you have a sense of our business transformation. I commented before that our volume, our reduced risk products volume represents already more than 10% of our volumes. Here, I am showing you estimations of our reduced risk products market share in key cities. For example, in certain cities, like in Tokyo, market share is close to 25% and increasing. This means that 1 every 4 consumers hits a Philip Morris tobacco unit. In Madrid, our share of market is much lower, in the range of 2%, but increasing. Now, how supply chain is contributing to this transformation towards a smoke-free future? Our vision is to delight our customers and consumers with a service level beyond their expectations. But how to do this? So we're developing an efficient and high-performing supply chain, synchronized from end to end, based on digital tools and driven by data. Our main KPIs to measure if we achieve this is based on 2 sets. One set to measure the efficiency, that is cost to serve and cash optimization. And another set to measure service level, that is on time in full. This means if what we plan we really do. And the Net Promoter Score. And this is asking our consumers on their satisfaction level. Now, I told you about the complexity of our new complexity of our supply chain, moving from few materials to much more materials. But our supply chain complexity also comes, similarly as other global FMCG companies, from an extended worldwide manufacturing footprint. We have 38 facilities, 7 of which already fully or partially dedicated to the production of heating tobacco units or other nicotine containing products. And we also have many other third-party manufacturers. But the complexity is not only here. The supply chain for the conventional cigarette, though might be complex due to having 38 factories, but at the end of the day is quite straightforward. We buy leaf and other direct materials, we produce the cigarettes, we store them, we track them, and we ship them to the shops. For the reduced risk products, on top of this, we need to add the chain for the electronics. So we procure the electronic components, we source the devices from our electronic manufacturing suppliers, we store them, and we ship them to the stores. Now we need to add the new e-commerce channel that is not allowed, normally not allowed for the conventional cigarettes. But that's not all, because on top we need to add the new reverse flow to comply with waste and recycle regulations for electronics. So our complexity, our supply chain is complex because now we need much more materials and we have much more flows than before. But this is not all. There's additional complexity. As I said, we are moving from supplying only the B2B channel to the need to implement an omni-channel distribution, including now as well B2C. In the past, for conventional cigarettes, the demand was quite stable and predictable. While today, with the transition from the conventional products to the reduced risk products, the demand is much more volatile. In the past, for conventional, we used to have full control of our manufacturing. And now we are in the need to work with tier suppliers and with electronic manufacturing suppliers. And to work with them in an efficient way, we need a relationship based on transparent collaboration. So we are moving for full control of our suppliers to a collaborative approach. And on top, in the conventional business, the life cycle of the product were very long with very few innovations. Now we are moving to shorter life cycles in which we launch new versions of the electronic devices, sometimes more than once per year, similarly as other electronic business. So more materials, more flows, and more complexity. Now, what are we doing in how we are developing our supply chain, how we are building our supply chain to cope with all this complexity? So our supply chain has a central role between markets and consumers on one side and procurement and production on the other. Our key role is to plan for proper deliveries. We do plans to deliver in an efficient way. To do this, our organization is based on two pillars. On one side, we have customer service. They work close to the markets. They are based in the regions, and their main functions are demand planning and distribution. And on the other side, we have the synchronization hub, or SynHub. It works close to procurement and manufacturing, and it's one global team in one single roof. It is located in a new office close to our headquarters in Lausanne. Its main functions are supply planning and order fulfillment. So let me now focus on the synchronization hub. So the role of the synchronization hub is to get an end-to-end integrated supply chain. So why one global synchronization hub in one roof? Because this allows higher planning speed, effectively connected with the entire supply chain ecosystem, with suppliers, with factories, with logistics service providers. I will talk about the systems for supply chain later, but they are key to achieve inventories and flows visibility. So this global synchronization hub team runs the end-to-end planning from demand, supply to distribution with centralized decision making. And this model is applicable for all the categories, from consumables and also for electronics. So having one global team in one roof enables us to have common processes and implement what we call the Sales and Operations Planning 2.0. Now, one of the key pillars, as I said before, of the planning process is to have high visibility of inventories and flows in the downstream channels. So only with this high visibility, an integrated solution for stock replenishment can be built. Now, what is an integrated solution for stock replenishment? At the end of the day, is to deliver the right products in the right quantities to the right place in order to be able to meet the anticipated demand. So only with this high visibility, we can build an efficient omni-channel distribution. So let's see now how this works for the electronics category. Let's review the characteristics of the electronics. As I commented before, the product life cycles are short, with frequent global and simultaneous new product introductions. This means that older versions of the electronic devices are prone to phase out, and this is increasing the risk to have non-sellable products, with exposure to have loss on goods for destroy. Then on another side, the consumers, the habit of consumers is to purchase electronics through different channels. So we need to open different routes to market, enlarging the network of points of order and points of inventories. So how we can achieve an efficient supply chain, that is to achieve product availability in an efficient way under such environment. Let's suppose that we packed and we source our electronic devices directly from our electronic manufacturing suppliers that are located normally in Asia Pacific. And we ship the goods to the markets and we keep the inventories in the markets. Well, if we do this, we will face several inefficiencies. On one side, very long lead time order to delivery. The cheapest way to deliver goods is ocean by ocean, and the lead time in ocean is almost from Asia to Europe or to North America is 30, 40, sometimes 50 days. So the only way to get availability under this is having very high inventories in the markets, because by when the order reaches the market, the demand has already changed. Another difficulty is that if we have any excess of inventory in one market, let's suppose that in market A, the red device does not sell, then we need to either we destroy it or we need to move it to market B. But to move it to market B, we need to relabel it and change the warranty, etc. So higher cost on manipulation and higher cost on transportation. So to avoid these inefficiencies, we are building a network with much more slim inventories via implementing regional fulfillment packing hubs in each region. These hubs are located much closer to the markets, and this allows to reduce the lead time order to delivery. Then to do this with lower inventories, we supply from the electronic manufacturing suppliers generic market agnostics packed goods to the hubs. Once the inventory are in the hubs, at the last moment, they are packed with market-specific inserts and labels in packing lines. This allows us very short lead times from 5, maximum 10 days, so we can anticipate changes in demand much in a much efficient way. Then the regional hubs also enable us to do direct shipments to certain distribution channels, for example, to e-commerce logistics players. So or, for example, directly to certain brand retails. Another advantage is that with these regional hubs, we can do reallocations of excess of inventories from one market to another one in a much more efficient way. We just send the excess to the regional hub, which is located closer to the market. We take out the inserts, we put the proper inserts for market B, we relabel it, and we send it to market B in a much more efficient way. And then to further increase the efficiency, the regional hub allows us to implement automatic replenishment to certain channels. For example, if we have systems connected to the brand retail, we can configure the automatic replenishment once the inventories are below certain level. So for this, we need indeed systems that are integrated and connected. Now, to achieve this in an efficient way with slim inventories, we also need to implement visibility on inventories and flows. That is key. But how can we have this visibility? Well, obviously with the proper system, but as well implementing new digital technologies, like for example, Internet of Things devices. If we track all our shipments through these devices, we can automatically recalculate the estimated time of arrival of all our shipments. So this estimated time of arrival prediction allows us to implement corrective actions well in advance to avoid potential out-of-stock situations. Then these devices not only allow us to do estimated time prediction, but as well much more benefits. Like for example, we can improve the security, introducing alerts when the doors are opened, or when a shipment is deviated from the standard route, or when a shipment is stopped a long time in certain place. And we can as well track the quality of the goods, measuring temperature and humidity, and even implementing alerts when the level of humidity or temperature exceeds the thresholds. Now, all this information need to be captured in a proper way. And to manage all this information, we need a proper IT ecosystem. So in Philip Morris, we are developing an IT architecture that allows us to have visibility, speed, and connectivity. So we are building a middleware to allow the data interchange with all our partners, from suppliers, like the electronic manufacturing suppliers, logistic providers, even market intelligence providers, or warehouse management systems from our suppliers, transportation management systems of our suppliers, and connected as well with our commercial partners like retailers, etc., e-commerce suppliers, etc. This middleware allows us to change suppliers with much less effort in IT connectivity. Then we are building the central layer with the required modules for an efficient sales and operations planning 2.0. With demand sensing and demand planning to anticipate changes in demand, supply and capacity planning, production planning and scheduling, purchase orders and shipment tracking, and last but not least, sales orders management, both for B2B and for B2C channels. Then another layer for analytics and reporting, that is to extract the reports and to have information based on the data behind. And last but not least, an additional layer, what we call the cognitive layer, that allows to implement modules for data crawling, for machine learning, for artificial intelligence, so that we can speed and get the proper data and information as needed. So this IT architecture will enable to build our digital, data-driven, and end-to-end connected supply chain. Now, I've mentioned in many moments, in many occasions, our suppliers. To develop this supply chain, we need different type of suppliers. We need to develop the relationship with electronic manufacturing suppliers, with logistics service providers, with software providers, with consultants. So one important function to develop our efficient supply chain is procurement. Which is the role of procurement? The role of procurement is to guide the business to answer some basic questions. So which suppliers we should engage with, at which cost, under which contractual conditions, with which compensation scheme, how to ensure the performance. So procurement role is to guide business to answer these questions. Now, in procurement, we have two eyes. One eye, one external eye on the market to understand what is happening out there, looking for innovative solutions, for innovative players, to get the expertise from the market, to engage with the experts suppliers for each category. Now, for this, we need experienced people in each of the categories. So category management is a key pillar of our procurement strategy. Our role is to develop a supplier base to get the best value, best deals with a long-term profitable partnership. And then we have another eye, an internal eye in the company to understand the needs of the business, being engaged at early stages of the projects and having visibility on the internal demand to anticipate the internal demand. We also manage the risk, negotiating strong business continuity plans in the contracts and developing alternatives ready to activate in short time. This is very important in a current situation like, for example, the COVID crisis. And then we work to ensure the performance. So to negotiate the conditions in the contract to manage the underperformance. And for that, we put in place strong supplier relationship management with periodic reviews, both from operative and commercial perspective. So the modern procurement organization has moved out from the traditional role of price negotiation. Our role is indeed to create value for the business. I said that the category management, the category expertise is a key pillar for our procurement strategy. Our procurement organization is based on 4 roles. The global category managers, our role is to define the strategy and to build strong global programs for the different categories. We work closely and in alignment with the central business stakeholders, and we negotiate master service agreements with global suppliers. By the way, for the operations categories in Philip Morris, the global category managers are based here in Madrid. It was implemented 14 years ago and still up and running. Then we have the regional teams. They support the deployment of the strategy and the programs with the local view to adapt the implementation to the local market conditions. Obviously, they also negotiate with regional players. Then we have the local accounts. They manage the relationship with the local stakeholders, and they manage the relationship with the local representatives of the suppliers, even negotiating with local suppliers as well. Finally, we rely the operational and transactional activities to share service centers at regional level. They execute the procurement activities in an efficient way with standard processes and standard systems. One of these processes, one of the main processes in procurement is the sourcing management. In some companies, they call it source to pay or source to contract, depending how far it goes. It all begins with the understanding of the business need. That is, what we need to source, for how long, for which geographies, etc., etc. Then we need to do the market research. Which suppliers to engage, how the goods or services are provided in the market, which is the expected price evolution, how the demand and the supply forces are impacting the price evolution. Only knowing all these two buckets, I mean the internal need and the understanding of the market, only then we can define the sourcing strategy. And the definition of the sourcing strategy is a key instance. We will only get from suppliers what we ask for. Then we should have a clear view of what we really want to do. Then we execute the sourcing process from the tender launch to the contract negotiation. There are several IT solution tools in the market that allows an efficient process and ensuring internal policies compliance. Then once the supplier is selected, the contract negotiated and signed, then we, along the overall contract timeline, we perform the supplier relationship management with periodic review meetings to ensure performance and to ensure that the cost is under control. Now, in procurement, we also want to increase our efficiency. And for that, we rely in different IT applications. Most of them now serve from the cloud. So there are applications for the sourcing planning and execution, like Scout, applications for the documents and contracts management, like Directum or iCertis, applications to do the purchase orders management, like Coupa, spend analysis, to do the analysis of the spend, like Cievo. And then for the different categories, there are different applications to do market intelligence. In the case of logistics, applications like Xeneta or Apply that we use to get market intelligence for logistics. And finally, with all this information, we retrieve automatically from most of these systems, and we build dashboards in Power BI. So we have seen how our business is transforming from the conventional cigarettes towards reduced risk products. We have seen how we are redesigning our supply chain to support this transformation, building a high-performing, digital-enabled, and data-driven supply chain in order to delight our consumers with a service level beyond their expectations, and how we are building the IT architecture to build this supply chain, and how procurement plays a key role to support and to achieve this business transformation. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks very much for coming, and see you in the lobby afterwards. I will be there in the virtual lobby for questions and answers. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.